Good evening. On behalf of the commissioners and staff, I would like to welcome you to the June 24th, 2025 City of Roseville Public Utilities Commission meeting. This 7-member commission is responsible for studying and advising the City Council regarding all utilities owned or operated by the city, including electric, water, wastewater, and solid waste. The Public Utilities Commission advises the City Council regarding planning, rates, public information, cable television franchises, and other matters relating to such enterprises, and may also hear citizen complaints as to operation or rates. The Public Utilities Commission also advises the City Council regarding the activities of such joint powers agencies as the city may be a member of or which relate to such utility enterprises. At this time, I'd like to ask everyone to please put your electronic devices on silent. Cara, would you please call the roll?
Yes. Commissioner DeLacy?
Here.
Commissioner DeMarkey?
Here.
Commissioner Knox?
Here.
Commissioner Maish?
Here.
Commissioner Springer?
Here.
Commissioner Webb has an excused absence, and then Chair Bielski.
Here. Commissioner Ellen, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Item 4 on the agenda is public comments. This item is for anyone who would like to address the commission on any item that is not on tonight's agenda. When addressing the commission, please state your first and last name for the record. Anyone? Okay. All right, next item is item 5.1, approval of the May 27th, 2025 meeting minutes. Do any of the commissioners have any suggested corrections or clarifications to the minutes at this time? Okay. Is there any member, is there anyone from the public who would like to come forward and address the commission on this item? Would anyone like to make a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll move.
I'll second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstentions?
Abstention.
Next on the agenda is requests and presentations. Item 5.2, Roseville Electric Monthly Utility Update, report by Chief Operating Officer Sean Matcham, summarizing the monthly status of electric utility activities for information. Good evening, Sean.
Good evening, Chair Bielski and members of the Commission. Sean Matcham again, your Chief Operating Officer for your electric utility. I have just a few brief comments tonight for the department. We have a couple presentations, as you know, on the agenda later, so I'll try not to take up too much time. Maybe I guess the first thing I'll start with is I don't have any meaningful updates, fortunately, on any grid emergencies or market issues or supply challenges here with 1 month in, I'll say, through the summer. So as you probably would expect, it's been a pretty mild June. We had a couple hot days in there, and weather looks pretty mild over the next, I think, week plus. So pretty mild summer so far. Effectively all our resource stack is in order for the summer. We do have our main Roseville Energy Park back in full capacity. And so we stand in pretty good position here as we head into the summer. You'll hear a little bit about that as part of our summer preparedness update here this evening, but just wanted to note, pretty mild June. Portfolio looks good. Hydrology looks good. So we'll see what weather is in store for us in July and August and September. The other item I just want to mention as a more meaningful update, I think at the meeting last month, I mentioned that we were going through a ratings review, basically a credit check from one of the 3 rating agencies, Fitch rating agencies. And we're still working through that process now, but related to that and in that same lane, related to our financial position, we are embarking on the very early process to assess a debt issuance or to issue municipal bonds for debt here, perhaps later this year, early next year. And I just mentioned that because it is tied closely to our ratings that the rating agencies give us. We try to maintain a pretty high credit rating. We have that top tier rating. I think I've mentioned it before. But for the first time since we've issued debt, or since we've built the Roseville Energy Park, we're looking at issuing debt to cover some of the meaningful capital costs that we have here on the horizon. So it's something that we haven't done in nearly 20 years. We have been in the bond market for refunding existing bonds that we've had, outstanding bonds, to take advantage of lower interest rates when that made sense. And then at times we've also paid down debt when it made sense for us to manage forward cost and when it didn't financially make sense to refund or refinance that debt. But I'll mention we are engaged with the city finance team. We've brought on, we already had on as part of our routine business, a financial advisor, bond counsel, and also we're starting to talk to some of the big banks like Goldman Sachs to be part of a bond issuance later this year. And I mention it because it's an important financial decision for us. And we're looking at about $70+ million in debt issuance. And really one of the big drivers is the project, the Roseville Power Plant number 2 repower project that we've talked about many times now. That really helped us kind of clear the hurdles of having some meaningful debt to go out to market to issue. There's really the guidance on this is you've got to get to critical mass before perhaps it makes sense to go to market and attract a favorable interest rate. So with that said, I just wanted to mention we've begun the internal process to work through that. A lot of disclosures, a lot of financial documents get provided to all the entities. We're assembling that team, and the main driver is that we've got some meaningful capital with the repower project and other capital projects in the city related to our electric system that are really 20, 30+ year assets. And we've done a pretty good job of managing capital without issuing debt and what I'll call cash rolling it. But for some of these bigger, long-term, durable assets, it makes financial sense and fair to our customer base to spread those costs out over time. And so that's something we're just starting that process on. Certainly keep you apprised on how it goes and the path ahead on it. But at this point, probably late this year, early next year. And it depends on the market, depends on the interest rates and things like that. But I wanted to note it because our team, again, we haven't issued debt in a long time, and that's good in many regards. And so a little bit of a new process, not say new, but a process that we haven't gone through in many, many years. So more to come on that. I'll keep you posted. But I thought I'd mention that because it's tied to our financial, that ratings review, and it's why we try to keep our financial metrics high and keep that credit rating high so that we can go to market and get the cheapest rate we can. The second thing I'll mention, and this is an exciting program for us, it's actually a program that we're jointly jointly working with EU on, and that is through the HR department and jointly with EU, we're working on a succession planning program for the electric department. This is something that's been pretty important for us as a department. Aligns well with our strategic plan, but that really investment in our workforce, investment in the future. I think we've done some very good things at the electric department to reorganize, create lanes of advancement and opportunities for our employees. So when they come into the department, they see where their career could grow, what positions they can move into, and how they can develop themselves and also take on broader scope of responsibility within the organization. Despite all that, there's always room to do better. And so the city has, with both the enterprise funds, EU and electric, we brought on Baker Tilly, a consulting firm, to help do, and I'll speak specifically for electric, help do an organizational assessment on succession planning, get really the lay of the land of our workforce, those that are at the brink of retirement, the ones that have may be leaving soon, and making sure that we're positioning positioning ourselves to basically build a stronger bench at the organization to plan for any retirements or any departures that may be that we may be facing or because of the competitive market. And so the Baker Tilly succession planning effort for us is really focused on two things: identifying through this process what we call key positions that are at risk of being vacant or are very difficult to recruit for, and then looking internally at our staff and, if necessary, external recruiting for building the bench and what a development program would look like internally for folks that could move into those positions. The second part of the initiative is to develop more structured and more visible and clear career ladders. And so this gets to when we bring in entry-level folks, and we do this a lot. We bring in at the entry level, we develop them on our own, but we want to make sure that there's a path forward when we invest in those folks where they can stay within the organization. And so the career ladder development is something that we're very excited to see what comes back through this process. What I will say across our organization and at a high level, that is our engineering, our operations, our power supply, our finance, pretty broad scope of responsibility across our organization. We have about a couple hundred employees, very diverse expertise. And in many regards, we have great career ladders that you can really track. Like if you come in at an intern even, you can move right to the director, right? That's great. In other areas of the organization, unfortunately, you cap out pretty early, right? You get stuck. And so it's in those areas that we're really hoping that Baker Tilly, through this program with HR, we can identify ways to improve those paths forward. And so I just wanted to mention that we'll be doing more on this going forward. The work with Baker Tilly is still underway. It will be a part of the electric department's strategic initiatives going forward for the next fiscal year. It will be the focus of our kind of our workforce development program as well for the department. So just wanted to mention that as to the succession planning because it's getting visibility internally in the department as well as the city. And we're excited about what we can do to make Roseville Electric a better place for our employees and then to attract talent. So, since we have two presentations on the agenda, I'm going to stop with my comments here and not take too long. My team told me I talked a little too much last time, so I'm going to button it up tonight. I'm glad to answer questions, though, on any of those items and anything else that's going on in the department.
I know you don't have a question. So just general tax, what we're looking at? Looking at tax-free munis or general obligation bonds?
Yeah, so we would be tax exempt. I think it's a general obligation bond we'll be going out with. Yeah, municipal tax exempt bonds, about 70 plus million. That's what we're tuning in on at this point. 50 of that is tied to the repower project that we advanced through council. We've briefed the commission on, and that work relates to the generation facility as well as switchyard work as well. And so that gave us a great catapult to add on some additional capital work to go out to market. So tax exempt municipal bonds is what we will be issuing.
And I just have a comment. I really like the idea of succession planning, career ladders. I've been in and out of government for many years, and the thing that always troubled me was when a department head left that now we have to do a nationwide search in the most populous state with all kinds of talent. We have to go and do a nationwide search. So I'm just happy to hear that. And then also it gives people direction, so they're not, oh God, should I go to work for Rockland or should I go to work for Sacramento? What should I do? So that's very heartening to hear that.
Yeah, we're excited about it. Beyond the succession plan and building the bench and developing our employees through this effort, it's been a focus of ours. And we've done a lot to develop folks internally because it is very difficult to hire expertise and bring them higher in the organization. We've been able to do that in the past, but investing in the folks we have internally has been great. We've got a very good team, very good executive team, but there's always room to make our folks stronger, make us stronger.
Good. Okay, any other questions from staff? So anyone from the public who would like to come forward and address the commission on this item? All right, okay. So next item is, thanks, Sean. Next
thank you
item
also.
is Roseville Electric Utility Customer Programs Overview, presentation by Customer Programs and Public Affairs Supervisor David Bradford and Senior Energy Services Account Representative Andrea Blumquist with an overview of Roseville Electric Utilities Customer Programs for information. Good evening.
Good evening, Chair Bielski and Commissioners. We are going to take you through an overview of our electric customer programs and services tonight and kind of explain what they are and why we have them. So our utility programs provide many benefits to our community. They help our customers reduce costs to operate their homes and businesses. They encourage energy efficiency in practice and through the use of technology. They provide education to help our customers understand how they use energy and how to conserve. They encourage customers to invest in their homes and businesses with incentives that make upgrades more affordable. These programs help our customers reduce the impact that they have on the environment, and our incentives help promote new technologies in a way that encourages market adoption and drives down cost. And they help us to prepare for the future by allowing us to understand how our customers use energy. And it's worth noting that as publicly owned utilities, we're required by the state of California to offer programs, incentives, and education that help our customers understand and manage their energy use. So if you're like me, whenever you hear about public programs, you always ask where the funding comes from. So this year, our programs are made possible by two primary funding sources. As I mentioned, California legislation requires publicly owned utilities to implement a surcharge to fund public benefit programs. These funds are reinvested back into the community through our programs. In addition, we participate in a state program that provides us with funding specifically for electric vehicles. And here's a little bit more information on both of those sources. We'll start off here with public benefits. Back in 1996, utilities in California were required to establish a public benefit or public goods funds. In Roseville, we allocate 2.85 of our annual revenues to meet this requirement, 2.85%, that is. These funds must be used to invest in energy efficiency, education, and technology, renewable energy programs, low-income rates and programs, as well as research and development. These programs help us meet our energy efficiency targets, which are also required by the state. These programs must meet defined cost-effectiveness guidelines and provide benefits to the community.
The California Air Resources Board has a program called the Low Carbon Fuel Standard Program, and it's similar to their cap and trade program. By participating, we earn credits for the electricity we provide to charge vehicles in our community. We sell these credits to entities who then need them and use the proceeds to fund our electric vehicle programs. These programs must be designed to benefit current and future EV owners.
So those are the two sources of the funding for our programs. Now I'll take you through an overview of our programs. Our programs fall mainly into three categories: building electrification, electric vehicles, and energy efficiency. Roseville Electric Utility recognizes the importance of preparing for the electrification of new and existing buildings. Electric equipment in homes and commercial buildings are more efficient and cleaner than natural gas-powered equipment. We're seeing an interest in converting to all-electric buildings. We're prepared to meet our customers' needs by offering incentives and education to help our customers with the transition while making buildings more efficient. Our programs also help our programs are also helping home builders in our community develop all-electric homes and neighborhoods. And so there's a list of new home builders that are building all-electric homes as a result of participating in our program.
Driven by state goals and market demand, we are beginning to see more and more electric vehicles on the road. Our programs and incentives help us prepare for a future where electricity will be the primary source for fuel for transportation. Our programs help us understand what the future electric vehicle demands will be and allow us to prepare now to meet those needs. And the best part is that we are able to leverage funding from state programs to invest in the infrastructure here in Roseville.
Our energy efficiency programs help our residents and business owners upgrade to more efficient equipment. Our broad portfolio of rebates mean that we can help in almost any project, as well as provide our customers with the knowledge and information they need to take their energy use into their own hands. Rebate levels for these incentives are assessed regularly to ensure that they are cost-effective and beneficial to our community. For more information about our rebate programs and a full list of rebate levels, you can visit our website at roseville.ca.us/rebates. And with that, we're happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Oh, but what percentage of new homes are going to be all electric in Roseville?
Wow, the overall percentage of new homes, there's no particular goal for overall new homes. It's just the number of builders who are building the all new homes. And some builders won't build their entire lot of homes all electric. They'll select certain villages. And so, but we are seeing there's an interest. We have a list of over about 6 or 7 builders that are building all electric homes. And these are actually homes where gas has not run out to the neighborhood at all.
So, my house, like, for example, has, you had a choice. And so I could do electric stove or gas stove, I could do electric dryer, gas dryer. So are there rebates if I decide to switch it to an induction cooktop, for example? Are there rebates for induction cooktop?
Yes.
Oh, great, okay.
Yeah.
That's good to know.
Yeah, in fact, there's a lot of interest around induction cooktops, and in the last few events that we've gone out to in the public, we've brought a demo on how induction cooktops work, the type of equipment that you need to make them work, all the benefits. There's a lot of benefits to induction cooking. The water boils a lot faster, there's a more even heat. It's a lot safer. Once you take the pan off the induction cooktop, the cooktop is automatically cold or cool again. So there's a lot of safety features as well that we're seeing that our community are really interested in.
But for older houses, so I bought an induction cooktop for my son-in-law, right? But I have gas, and there's no 220 outlet in the back of my stove, so I'd have to, that would be an expensive electrical project.
That's where the retrofit is a little more expensive, because in those situations, the same with like a heat pump water heater, the traditional home did not have the 240 line run out to that. And so it may be, sometimes it would even require a panel upgrade, which we also have incentives to help cover the cost of. But yes, you will need to run a 240 line out to your cooktop or out to your water heater if you're going to upgrade that.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions of staff? All right. Is there anyone from the public who would like to come forth and address the commission on this item? Okay. Item 5.4, 2025 Roseville Electric Summer Preparedness Plan, presentation by Electric Operations Supervisor Matt Jones and Power Supply and Portfolio Administrator Petra Wallace with an overview of the 2025 Summer Preparedness Plan for information. Good evening to you both.
Good evening. Thank you, Chair Bilski, Commissioners. So as part of Roseville Electric's operations and planning, the utility develops a summer preparedness plan to help ensure that the organization is ready to serve the community and its customers safely and reliably during times of high peak load. One of our main goals is to continue our long record of being one of the most reliable utilities. All the utilities assets and field equipment, overhead and underground distribution and transmission undergo detailed inspections to early detect or identify any potential issues or needed maintenance, as well as a vigorous line clearance program where trees and shrubs are kept at 10 feet away from power lines, exceeding the minimum clearances of 18 inches in our 12 kV distribution and 4 feet in our 60 kV sub-transmission. We also make sure we are appropriately and fully staffed with a 5-year forecast on our utilities needs and keep a rotating on-call schedule of line crews and other key positions to maintain 24/7 coverage. We've also recently completed a new secondary dispatch center that's fully equipped to seamlessly take over all system operation duties if the primary dispatch center becomes incapacitated for any reason. We also mock major system disturbances or emergencies to assess response capabilities. We have a monthly outage review committee meeting planned, or to look at planned versus unplanned outages, the duration of outages, customer counts, possible trends, identify if any plans need to be made to mitigate anything further. Our engineers review load shed plan to validate current targets and correct circuits. We make sure all of our contracts are up to date to request assistance or respond to neighboring utility requests. And then we have a review of our DOC readiness if there's an emergency large enough to implement procedure, our emergency shift coverage and resources. We've established priority lists for system restoration, identifying which circuits hold critical infrastructure. And we have a restoration sequence from highest priority to lowest when restoring power following any load shed needs.
Good evening. So now we're going to talk a little bit about the different California balancing authorities. So California is divided into 9 balancing areas, each responsible for maintaining real-time balance between electricity supply and demand in their areas. CalISO, or the California Independent System Operator, is about 80% of California's demand. Bank is about 8% of California's demand, and Roseville is located within Bank, or the Balancing Authority of Northern California. Roseville accounts about 7% of Bank's load. Other members of Bank include SMUD, Redding, Modesto, Shasta, Trinity, and WAPA, or Western Area Power Administration. The Bank Summer 2025 outlook looks really good. So far so good, as Sean mentioned earlier, but again, I'm gonna knock on wood, it's only June. So the forecasted peak for the Balancing Authority of Northern California with all those different municipal utilities is almost 4,700 megawatts. The 2025 supply that we have on hand for the Balancing Authority of Northern California, it's almost 5,500 megawatts. And that consists of 2,700 megawatts of hydro, thanks to a good water year this past year. Thermal will account for about 2,300 megawatts, biogas 60 megawatts, and solar about 433 megawatts. So on the next slide, I'm going to get a little bit more details on the good hydro levels. So as of June 2025, major reservoirs across Northern California are showing healthy storage levels. The map on this slide shows the geographic spread, and the change bar highlights positive year-over-year gains across most reservoirs. Key reservoirs such as Shasta, Oroville, and Folsom are well above historical averages for this time of the year. This is very important because these reservoirs directly support both hydro generation and water reliability. These strong storage levels support the earlier slide's hydro projections and are a key factor in our positive summer outlook for energy. So this will reflect in Roseville's 2025 outlook as well. So our forecasted peak for Roseville, it's 363 megawatts, and our current supply stack is over 420 megawatts, which means that our reserve margin, the good utility practice, it's about 115%. And currently, Roseville, based on the forecast and the supply stack, it's over 120% as a reserve margin. And as conditions change or outages happens or fires happen, we try to adjust and make sure that we position ourselves well. So we started to create like a weekly position report when we provide an update to upper management and take a look at the forecasted peak demand and the supply stack that we have on hand.
The project team is confident in its readiness for summer peak.
Any questions?
Good job.
So, hi, thank you. On the bank stack, isn't there geothermal on there somewhere?
It's very low, so it's a, yes, it's a small amount that was, I was trying to just highlight the major factors,
I
but
didn't
yes, we
know
have
it was
some
a-
geothermal, but it's a low percentage for Roseville.
So, and I realize, so, being the cynical solar person that I am, I would assume that of the 5,489 megawatt supply, after the sun goes down, you could subtract the solar and it comes down to 5,000 megawatts, right? And then my question is, when the sun goes down, what's the peak? It's not the same, in other words, it's a reduced peak, but understanding that margin on the hot summer day when the sun goes down,
Yes, that's why we still have the gas generation over here. That's where we have the hydro, so to balance it out. So, and then we also import, California imports quite a bit of power from the Pacific Northwest, so. I see your point, but.
yeah, I understand. I just, it almost seems like in order to keep track of this as we go forward, I mean, right now, everything looks dandy. I'm not suggesting that we have any kind of a problem, but as we build more solar in California, you almost need two columns. You need a column for in the middle of the day, and you need a column for when the sun goes down, right? And so batteries would be another one that might be on this list to a small degree that aren't showing up, right?
Yes, but they are not generating resources, so they get charged by solar output whenever it's not used, or from other generating facilities, and they just release the already generated power back to the grid when it's needed. So it's very good for balancing, but I
Right.
wouldn't count it as new
Right,
generation.
so if we had, again, the
Yes.
two columns where, you had a second column where after sundown, right? Then how do we look in terms of supply and demand? Batteries become a supply.
Okay, so how much battery do we have?
Battery storage would help that
Yes.
immensely.
It's expensive, but it helps. Yeah,
And
okay,
then,
thank you.
thank you. And then my question, and Ellen can help me out with this. Those of us who have solar on our rooftops and track it during the day, will note that, of course, in the middle of the day, there's a peak period and then it declines. So does the solar, is this an average daily or period amount, this 433 megawatts?
Then it's more for capacity reasons. So
Okay.
it's not necessarily the actual generation.
Okay. And then you have to help me with thermal. Is thermal a generic term for different sources of power that are generated from?
Thermal, it's very similar to the Roseville Energy Park, so it's
Okay.
natural gas generation.
Okay, because thermal for me, I think of the geysers. I think
Okay.
of that's what I'm thinking of. Okay, that helps. Thank you. Anybody else? John? Anything? No?
It's good.
All right.
I have a
go
quick
ahead.
comment, if I may. So just a brief presentation, obviously, on our summer preparedness. Much of it's focused operationally, right? So Matt Jones here is speaking about how we have our staff and grid prepared for the summer. Also Petra here for the resource stack, which is so important. And so I'll just mention pretty brief overview of what is in store, what we have ready for the summer, but a tremendous amount of work goes into making sure that this all lines up for us for the summer. Einer's comments about the solar valid, right? 433 megawatts does not show up at 5:30 in the day. There's some D-rate to that. And so batteries will help that, but even, I think, the outlook, at least for this summer, even with a heavy D-rate on solar, which will happen, we're still looking at 600 megawatts within the BA as a reserve margin. And then in addition to that, what's not reflected here is some of our transmission capability to trade and import from other utilities. And so not full picture there, but I think the number here, to your question, it's a capacity number. At the best part of the day, what are we getting out of solar? And that's that number here. But I just wanted to mention there's a lot of work that goes in behind the scenes to make sure that we make it through the summer without any issues. You've heard from Petra before. This is Matt Jones' first time here in front of the commission. So Matt oversees our line crews. So when we're dealing with the worst things, grid emergencies, storm response, it's him and his team out here. And so he's been in the supervisor role for a while, but he's managed to escape presenting to the commission until now. And so we wanted to get him here and talk a little bit about the work that he does, because he serves a very important role in the organization, and so does his teams. And I think, given the presentation tonight, we'll bring him back in the future as well.
It's not too late to botch it.
Our reservoirs look full. I mean, they look like they're in good shape, not just for this year, but maybe precursor for next year. They look in excellent shape.
Okay. Matt, you did great.
You did.
Any other questions from the commission? Is there any member of the public who would like to come forward and address the commission on this item? Thank you both.
Thank you.
So next item is item 5.5, Environmental Utilities Monthly Update, report by Environmental Utilities Assistant Director Brian Craighead, summarizing the monthly status of environmental utilities activities for information.
Good evening, Chair Bielski and members of the Commission. My name is Brian Craighead, Assistant Environmental Utilities Director. I have a number of updates for you tonight on our department operations. I'll start with an update on our projects. First up, we have the Church Street Sewer Improvements Project. If anyone's driven on Church Street lately during the day, you will see some disruptions. We try to limit those during the day hours and not during the commute. In fact, on my way over here from our corporation yard, both lanes wide open. So just an update on that. Work is progressing along Church Street, and that's Atkinson to Grant. What we're doing over there, just to be clear, is a pipe bursting project, which is replacing pipe in an effort to not have to tear up the whole road. So pipe bursting actually bursts the old pipe that's in there and puts a new one in its place. So that portion of the project is expected to wrap up by the end of June. And next we'll replace several aging manholes, some of which are over 100 years old over there. So that will keep the contractor busy, and they're going to be in the roadway through mid-July. Next up in the project to finish it up is the pavement restoration, and that's scheduled for afterwards. And the full completion and street clearance is expected by mid-August. Again, we are dealing with a 100-year-old infrastructure, so I say that with the best intentions. Next project, 5-Star Intertie Improvements Project. The contractor's already mobilized. The work's already started. This is over at the McDonald's lot near Costco. This project will connect our system to PCWA at 5-Star and Stanford Ranch. We're adding remote monitoring, power supply, and safety enhancements as part of the project as well. We do expect very minimal traffic disruption on this because, again, they are all in the parking lot of that McDonald's there. And the project's on track for completion by October, which is well ahead of the busy holiday season. Next up, we have 2 ASR wells under construction. That's aquifer storage recovery wells under construction right now at Mistywood and Campus Oaks. The earthwork started in late May for the 2 new wells. We've proactively communicated with nearby residents through mailers and in-person outreach. Construction extends into 2026 with summer as the tentative completion window. And part of to help and fund that project, we secured funding support via our Artesian grant in partnership with the Regional Water Authority. This project will significantly boost water supply reliability for the city. Last project update, we have the Kirby Way exploratory work. This work began just this week, and it was important exploratory work on Kirby Way tied to the water main break that occurred there about a year and a half ago. And so what we're doing, we're assessing the condition beneath the roadway, and that's to prepare for a larger main replacement project scheduled for next year. So the challenge with completing this project is we wanted to get that work done while maintaining that thoroughfare and keeping it open. But thanks to excellent coordination with Public Works, we've managed to keep traffic flowing with minimal disruption. And residents still have access in and out, and we're on track to wrap up this work by Thursday of this week, so that's the 26th. Next update. Last week, we celebrated National Waste and Recycling Workers Week. This is a great opportunity to recognize the essential work done by our solid waste team. We feature both our drivers and customer service staff on social media, sharing their stories and highlighting the people behind the service. It was a small but meaningful way to say thank you and raise community awareness of a group that's often behind the scenes but critical to keep their city running smoothly. Next up, our water efficiency team made excellent progress in May and June through field work initiatives and public engagement. We're really ramping up into their busy season with water efficiency. Issued numerous rebates, water-wise house calls, advanced metering infrastructure postcards, water waste investigations, and they held 2 community outreach events in May that haven't been talked about already. May 10th was a spring irrigation class, and May 24th was an Ask the Expert to where they're helping the community be water-wise. So these efforts contribute to long-term water savings and better community engagement and stronger compliance with local water use regulations. So that is all the updates I have. Happy to answer any questions.
Staff, any questions? I apologize for that.
It's okay.
The Kirby Way, did they take out some trees in the middle of Kirby Way, or are we talking about the Kirby Way section below Rocky Ridge, before Old Auburn?
No, this is Kirby Way, Riverside to Foothills area.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Any other questions?
For the replacement on Kirby Way, are you forecasting that to be evening work, overnight work?
We don't have any concrete plans at this time, but given the nature of that area, whatever we can do to minimize traffic disruptions, which would be nighttime work. We do have a lot of outreach that we've already done out there for other projects, and so we kind of know the pain points and proactively work through that.
Any other questions from the commission? All right, is there anyone from the public who'd like to come forward and address the commission on this item? All right. All right, Brian, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, item 5.6, Waste Services and Stormwater Utility Update. Presentation by Acting Refuse and Stormwater Manager Brian Jones. Providing update on Waste Services and Stormwater Utility for information.
Thank you, Chair Belsky, and hello, Commissioners. My name is Brian Jones, and I serve as the Refuse Stormwater Manager. Today, I'll be providing an update on waste services and stormwater operations. Our customer overview, currently we service 57,346 residential customers. We also have 1,467 commercial customers, which are made up of the businesses, apartments, multifamily homes, restaurants, shops, and big box stores throughout the city. We provide weekly MSW collection, so municipal solid waste collection. We operate those collection routes utilizing 15 routes, which services approximately 700 to 900 homes per day, with estimated 98% set-out rate. Another service that we offer is our bi-weekly green waste collection. We service that utilizing 5 routes, covering an area of 1,000 to 1,200 homes a day, with an estimated 70% set-out rate. So not everybody that sets out their garbage every week is setting out green waste every other week. Our commercial collection commercial services. So we've got our multiple lines of business in our commercial services. Front loader operations, we utilize 6 MSW routes. That's the trucks out there picking up the garbage. And then we also have got 3 dedicated cardboard routes servicing the commercial customers as well as the recycle sites. We have a rear loader route that services and focuses on areas in the older neighborhoods and tighter access. Some of the historic district, it's easier to get a rear loader in there than the front loader, so that's how we service those locations. And that truck also services the city cans that you see throughout the downtown areas. We operate 4 to 6 roll-off routes daily. Just depends on what the level of needs are from our customers. So customers call in as needed when they need to get their bins ran. So depending on what that workload looks like, we operate anywhere from 4 to 6 of those routes Monday through Friday. And we also have those running on the weekends. Organics, so we have a source-separated food waste route. That's one route out there. And the organics collection route handles the source-separated food waste generated from restaurants and markets throughout the city. This supports compliance with SB 1383. And we have currently about 333 customers utilizing that source-separated food waste program throughout the city right now. In 2024, that attributed to 2,234 tons of food waste diverted from the landfill. We performed 387 compliance inspections, so that's having our field enforcement officer go out to the sites and make sure that they're complying with the regulations, that the material is not contaminated. If it is contaminated, we try to coach them along and educate the people in the businesses to make sure they utilize the program the way it was intended. We also do what's called lid flip audits. So we go out on our green waste collection residential audits and we walk the sites, or we walk the streets and we flip lids and we make sure that the people are putting the correct commodity into those green waste carts as well. We have other additional services that our residents are able to utilize. One of which is pretty popular. It's our doorstep household hazardous collection program. So this allows the residents to contact us and schedule to have items that they would not typically be able to throw away into their garbage can. So batteries, e-waste, motor oil, cooking oil, paint, things that are bad to go in the landfill. We offer service to where we can go out there and they list out the items that they have for us. We manifest it. We go out there, we pick it up, and we take it out to the MRF so it can be processed properly. 2024, we had 1,577 customers utilize that program. Year to date, we've kind of ramped it up. We're already at 1,350 plus residents have been able to utilize that program. We just kind of wrapped up our neighborhood cleanup events. Those events are held typically between April and May. We host these events in coordination, collaboration with Arcona. They provide a lot of the volunteers out there helping offload the bins, and we provide the hauling services out there. These events continue to grow every year. We're seeing an uptick in residents using the events. This year we had 1,802 cars. So people, 1,802 cars came and offloaded into what we have roll-off boxes out there, a couple of rear load trucks, and it's very a lot of positive feedback. The community loves it. They're excited that they can get rid of a bunch of this stuff, and it's been a great program. So there's a lot of good that comes out of it as far as getting the neighborhoods and the side of people's homes cleaned up. So we've already started the planning for next year's events. So we just wrapped this year up, and we're already starting talking about how we're going to do it next year. So next thing we've got is our stormwater program. So these are stormwater cleanup events. So the cleanup efforts are, it ensures continued compliance with the state's trash amendment. Volunteers that help out at these events are able to utilize these for community service credits. So like when students are in high school or something like that, they can utilize that as their community service. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions. And that's all I got.
I have a question. Is there a cost to the customer for hazardous waste pickup?
It's built into our rates, so there's not an additional cost. It's part of the service that we provide.
How do you take advantage of that?
You can get online, you can go to our website, and you can set up to have that service at your home. So.
In the past, so didn't you have to have so much before you would come out? Wasn't there like a threshold?
There are some limits. We want to make sure that we're going out there not just to pick up like 3 batteries.
1 can of paint or something.
And then you can't go over certain amounts of quantities as well.
Do you pick up mattresses?
We don't pick up mattresses as part of that program, but WATMA does take the mattresses for free right now. site, the disposal site that we take all of our waste to.
Has there ever been consideration to do what Citrus Heights does, to have those, like those I think they're waste management anyway, I don't think they're public.
I think it's Republic over there, but
Whatever, yeah. They have those like quarterly where everybody just puts everything out in the street and then they come by and pick it up. There's, furniture, washers, exercise equipment.
yeah, we've talked about that and we've proposed it. Right now, it's not something that we're going to provide. But
Yeah, if I can. We've looked at a number of different options. Agencies around us do a variety of things, such as like Citrus Heights do, I believe it's quarterly for the pickups. Everyone takes it to one area of the neighborhood. I personally would like to see us have a doorstep bulky waste pickup program because the feedback we hear, the neighborhood cleanup events are great, but what do I do if I don't have a truck? And that's a real concern,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So there is a cost to have one of our trucks come out, and it's about a 3 to 4 man crew or person crew to pick up that waste. So there's a cost associated with that, and we want to be mindful of that. We looked at it in the last rate case, but we will be looking at it again. And we also do some surveying, and the surveying's been positive. People want the program, but they don't necessarily want to pay for it. So we're trying to balance that. The neighborhood cleanups are a good kind of compromise for now to be able to offer that service in the most cost-efficient way.
What about like HOAs? Doing this all together, so when you come out, you don't hit one home, you hit, several dozen or more.
In talking with agencies that do run the program that way, the problem is you get a new piece of furniture, right? And it happens right after that event. So what do I do with it? It's either on the side of the yard, that. And so as best to try and mitigate that, that's where agencies some have done those quarterly programs, switch to a doorstep. I would say, in looking at the industry for a while, it's the doorstep program is kind of the gold standard, and everything else. It certainly helps, but it doesn't kind of capture everything.
Yeah, interesting.
And I'll ask the perennial question, where are we with the compliance for the organic waste and an additional can? Are we still out there a ways, or?
We are still evaluating that program, and it is still on the horizon. We have our environmental work being done right now on our new operations center, which includes the single stream MRF. At that point, is when we would institute the 3-can collection system to separate food waste.
How far off is it about?
If all the stars align and everything goes perfect, we're looking at late 2028.
2020, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
When's the new remodeled MRF supposed to be online?
WATMA, the Western Placer Waste Management Authority, is finishing up upgrades right now. They are supposed to be done by the end of this month. It's supposed to be operational.
So they're going to start removing organics?
Yes.
Amazing. Yeah.
I also serve on the Solaire Neighborhood Association, and I was a volunteer at the St. Paul neighborhood cleanup, and I can tell you that so many residents appreciated that program. So it was good. It was a good job, well planned.
Thank you for helping.
Anyone else? Okay. Is there any member of the public who would like to come forward and address the commission on this item? Thank you both.
Thank you.
All right. Next item is item 5.7, solid waste impact fee and non-exclusive franchise hauler fee update, presentation by management analyst Vicki Reed with a summary of the solid waste impact fee and non-exclusive franchise hauler fee for information. Good evening, Vicki.
Hello. And hello, Chair Bielski and Commissioners. Thanks for having me. I'm Vicki Reed, Management Analyst in Environmental Utilities in Solid Waste Services. So tonight we're going to talk a little bit about our development fees. Development fees help fund the expansion and maintenance of the waste collection system to accommodate growth from new developments. These fees ensure that new properties contribute to the cost of waste services, easing the financial burden on existing customers. The current fees were established in 2006, so we thought it was about time we take a look at those again. Those were developed through a study that was conducted by a third-party consultant who worked really closely with EU staff at the time. The study takes into consideration the actual and projected costs to assess the financial needs of the waste collection system. Factors such as community growth and the expansion of infrastructure are taken into consideration to ensure that the fees align with future demands. Additionally, we do some benchmarking against similar jurisdictions to make sure that we are fair and competitive. In March of 2025, we reviewed and updated the development fees to align with the future demands of what we're looking at right now. And the fees will increase slightly, but Roseville's fees still remain relatively low compared to our neighbors. And a good example of that would be in Folsom and Lincoln, where residential development fees for a single-family home exceed $600 per single-family unit. And here in Roseville, we're proposing a 410, or going from 410 to 417. So it's just a little bit of a bump. The city also has switched to a square footage-based fee for our multifamily units, and that's because we wanted to align with California legislation, AB 602, which says that they require that these impact fees be based on a square footage unless there's another method that's already been justified. So we haven't done that for every single-family resident. We were able to keep the single-family units at the flat rate, but our multifamily is going to change over from a flat rate up to a per square foot. But with all the studies that were done, it's also just a really small bump. These fee updates will be presented to the council in July or August of 2025, and our targeted implementation for the fees will be in October or November of this year. So the next thing we're going to talk about is our non-exclusive franchise hauler fees. And again, these fees were looked at a long time ago, back in 2006. We determined the fees at that time by an analysis that we performed in-house. The city and Waste Services, we allow non-exclusive franchise haulers to operate within the city for certain situations, such as construction projects. So you'll occasionally see bins from our competitors, I guess you'd call them our competitors, out there in the city, but they're only there for a temporary reason. This allows us to, provide competitive options for customers, like contractors, and it also allows us to focus on our primary responsibility of hauling the permanent regular customers for their periodic trash removal. Non-exclusive franchise hauler fees are imposed on waste haulers that operate within the service area without an exclusive contract, but we've broken it down into two different fees. They pay an application fee, which is renewed every 2 years, and then they also pay a monthly fee based on the amount of waste that they're taking out or that they're hauling within the city. And these fees help cover costs associated with the oversight of this program, related staff time, and the maintenance of the infrastructure that's impacted by the waste collection activities themselves. In 2006, we started requiring approval for haulers that wanted access to the waste here in the city. Hauler applications are renewed, like I said, every 2 years for a set fee. The non-exclusive franchise hauler fee was originally set at $260 every 2 years for these haulers, and that's going to go up a little bit. These fees, again, help cover the ongoing associated cost that is incurred with the hauling activities. Regular evaluation and adjustment of the fees will help us ensure that they align with the industry standards and also with the city's evolving needs to maintain fair and effective waste management system. A third-party consultant worked with us again this year and helped us to reevaluate. They've recommended now that we evaluate these every 2 to 3 years instead of waiting for so long. So we've taken that, we're going to do that. The non-exclusive application fee, hauler application fee, which was originally $260 in 2006, did increase to $520 in 2024. Sounds like a lot, but considering it was nearly 20 years, it made sense. And this just reflects the need for the ongoing administration and regulatory oversight, especially due to California Green Building Code standards, and now with the implementation of all the new regulations that California is seeing when it comes to waste hauling. The monthly tonnage fees were originally set at $6.88 back in 2006. When we reevaluated them, we saw that the increase that would be needed was significant. So what we did was come up with a tiered approach so that we won't be, it'll be a gradual increase, so it'll ease the impact on the haulers while it aligns the fees with the actual costs that are incurred by the city and help us get to the more accurate fee of $12.40 per ton by fiscal year '28. And that is all I have. Does anybody have any questions?
I do.
John, go ahead.
NEF haulers' fees, does that also include dirt brought in, let's say for construction of homes? You know, I live in Ironwood Circle, which is right near Diamond Oaks Golf Course, and it's right near Sierra View where they're adding 75 new homes. They must have brought in 2,000 truckloads over a long period of time of dirt. And what a mess. I mean, the roads were terrible.
Yeah, so
They had street cleaners go through, but they did all they did is sweep the dirt around. They did very little, and I'm sure there was damage to the roads.
And that
who
probably falls
controls
more
that?
into the fees, into the fees that we collect for the impact. So the construction, whenever a new construction is being developed here in the city, or new homes, new commercial businesses, they pay the fees that should be covering the
Who
damage
inspects
caused by
it?
that.
Who covers to see what damage there is or what needs to be done?
So those are two separate things. So to answer your question, the hauling of dirt, this fee would not apply to that. That's completely separate. Yeah, so this fee covers waste hauled in this instance, the fill,
Yeah,
that would be fill dirt. In any case, yeah. So it's the cost to pay for hauling that waste in place of us, essentially.
I understand, but shouldn't there be control over that that's brought in? You know, truckload after truckload of dirt that was needed for construction, but it's a tremendous amount.
Guarantee you there's regulations around that dirt being brought in. Unfortunately, it falls out of our purview. That would
would cover that.
That's going to, so
Public Works.
from the Environmental Utilities Department, that's what they're dealing with. If you're getting a permit to build single-family homes, that's going to go through our Development Services Department, the Planning Department. Public Works has a full street maintenance division that's going to look at the impact. So when the developer puts in an application for that, we're going to look at something like that. If you're raising the grade by however much, which is going to have such an impact on the road. We have our street sweepers, all of those sorts of things there's going to be a fee built into that. It's just, like Brian was saying, completely
needs
separate from
oversight.
what they're dealing with, yeah.
So
Enough said.
basically, it applies to stuff going out. It's not like a Sierra Rock, if I order a truckload of sand or rock and they bring it to my driveway, they have a business license, they're paying a fee somewhere else.
correct.
Okay.
Yeah, this is stuff that is being taken by other haulers. Most of it still taken to WAPMA, but it's the companies that come in and take that temporary waste away, mostly from construction sites.
Okay, so, and then what about like, you see trucks around town, got junk, call this number, that's a whole different,
Yeah, so those would be what we would classify as a junk hauler.
okay.
We don't allow companies to come into Roseville and put a dumpster down on a street or anywhere and then fill it, have somebody fill it up and then haul it away. We don't allow that unless they have one of these applications on file. And then we do require that they report to us what they're doing in the city and their tonnage and things like that on a regular basis. But a junk hauler, 1-800-GOT-JUNK, I think Pelican does a lot here in the city. So we do see the reports that come in from WAPMA where these haulers are taking the trash out there, and I just periodically give them a call and make sure that they know that as long as they're loading it into a truck and trailer and taking it away right away, that they are free to do that with a business license here in the city. And we just kind of make sure that they know. But the dumpster, placement of a dumpster, you have to have the application on file with us.
And do we provide dumpsters? When I lived in Davis, you called DWR and they brought the dumpster out, you paid the fee, okay.
Yeah, we do. And so if someone's coming in to do some development here, they do have an option. They can choose us to do the hauling for them, or they can reach out to one of these non-exclusive franchise haulers. We provide them with a list and contact information so that we make sure that they're using someone that we've already vetted and approved, and that company knows the regulations and has agreed to where they're going to take that debris so that it's processed properly.
I'm pleasantly surprised that the fees are going up by such a small amount compared for how many years? I mean, I don't know how you did that, but well done.
Yeah.
On your impact development fees, you say that you are using those fees to maintain the system?
No, it's strictly the capital costs.
That's what I thought, but it says expanding and maintaining waste collection systems.
I did just see that.
Sorry.
But yeah, it's purely the capital cost to.
That's what I thought. That's kind of a typographical error. I'm surprised you're not asking for a recommendation to the city council to approve this. You're increasing rates. You're going to go to the city council and ask the city council to increase your rates. And you've done this just for information. You haven't asked the commission to say, we agree.
Because
I'm surprised at
I
that.
know where he's coming from, because in the past, any utility rate increase, it had to come to us first. We had to
Right.
give approval, and then it went to city council. The other thing that Einer echoed in a previous discussion was, and I don't think this is controversial, but when we're considering raising fees, to have a hearing with us first, so that things get out in the open, any potential concerns get addressed, opposition gets diffused, and so forth. This is so nominal in a sense that I can't see anybody being upset about 7 cents rate increase. But yeah, that is a good point, though, and I don't know if council needs to.
Do you want to add anything to the start of this before I talk about it? We're talking fees versus rates. Two totally different subjects. These are not rates that are being charged to a residential customer for the pickup of your garbage. This is a fee being charged to a business that is operating a business by hauling garbage out of the city of Roseville. So,
Or new development.
or new development, yes. It's not a rate that is being imposed upon the residents. So from the different fee aspect of it, going to council, getting approval, doing all of those sorts of things, the purpose of bringing this for information to the Public Utilities Commission is quite literally to get public comment from people to come before we take this to city council, so that if there are any concerns, that's all been vetted theoretically through the Public Utilities Commission and all of the outreach that EU does before they do this. There's plenty of, written and email and social media and those sorts of push outs of information to the public. So big difference, just the distinction of rate versus fee.
Thank you.
Thank you for that clarification. Anything else from commission? Anyone from the public would like to come forth and address the commission on this item? Thank you both. It looks like item 6 on the agenda is adjournment. May I have a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We are adjourned. Apologize.